Coming up on the WAC podcast, the Commissioner's Cup has been handed out. We'll tell you who won the prestigious award. We'll kind of wrap up the season. It's the middle of June. All the WAC sports have ended. We'll tell you how the baseball regionals went, as well as the outdoor nationals. And we had some presidents' meetings, all kinds of stuff happening. We also are going to talk to Ken Beazer, Utah Tech Director of Athletics. Actually, Kendra's going to talk to him next on the WAC podcast.
Dun, dun, dun. Another year has come and gone. The Western Athletic Conference, the 2023-24 school year bookend, put it in the shelf. It's over. And what a year it was.
62 years the WAC has been around.
Since 1962.
Since 1962, and it's now the 62nd year. How about that?
Really cool.
Catch me outside. Great year in terms of we had several sports that had multiple bids. As we mentioned in the open, baseball. I guess we can start with that. I know it's not. Maybe it's not in your rundown. Maybe it is.
Let's go ahead. Let's go where it flows.
Let's go.
Flow.
So baseball wrapped up. Grand Canyon going to the NCAAs. Now they won the WAC regular season, had an outstanding year.
Yes.
Got to the WAC tournament. Not so great for them, out in 2 games. However, Tarleton State, who is not eligible for the NCAA tournament, went on a tear, won the WAC tournament. So then it was predetermined before all the, years ago, that the regular season champion, whoever the highest seed was, we saw CBU women's basketball do this a number of years ago, wound up being the next highest seed going. So GCU got the bid to the NCAAs. They go to Tucson to play Arizona, who had an outstanding season. But those Wildcats just could not beat GCU this year.
No, I mean, Grand Canyon swept them. I mean, Grand Canyon beat them 9-4. And, a lot of talk about during the pregame and early innings of this game was when these two teams faced in the regular season, it was a midweek. So broadcasters, everyone alike was kind of like, okay, yeah, you beat them in the midweek, but let's see you go against our Friday pitcher. And they brought out the best of the best, and it couldn't stop Grand Canyon. Of course, Tyler Wilson gets the leadoff home run, which really helps for them. And then, Arizona puts up 3 in the bottom of the second to take the lead 3-2 over them. But Grand Canyon still found a way. They scored 3 runs in the top of the 6th, added a run in the 7th, 8th, and 2 in the 9th to be able to seal the deal and get a win in the NCAA regional.
They win 9-4 in that one over number 13 ranked Arizona. They did lose then to West Virginia, which set up a elimination game against Dallas Baptist. Of course, we live here in the Metroplex. We know DBU is Division II in most sports, but Division I in baseball. Not only that, one of the best Division I baseball teams in the country, ranked number 25. And GCU beats another top 25 team, 12-10.
Yeah, this was a good one for Grand Canyon as well. I covered Dallas Baptist back when they were in the Missouri Valley.
Oh.
They would come to Southern Illinois.
But,
Grand Canyon really didn't lose focus there. Dallas Baptist put up 2 early and kind of took the lead for a bit. But
yeah, they were up 8-3 at one point.
Yeah, Grand Canyon was just able to stay resilient. And, we knew that they, if they show up and they could do what they were capable of, we knew they could make a run in this, and they certainly did. And so just didn't happen in the WAC baseball tournament, but they turned it on for the NCAAs.
So then they wound up having to face West Virginia again, and then would have had to beat them twice to go to the Super Regional. West Virginia wins that one 10-6 to close out the season. But first time in a while we've had a WAC team make it to the regional final.
Yeah, 2 wins.
Pretty good. Meanwhile, in Eugene, Oregon, we had the national championships for track and field going on. Some really good performances by some WAC athletes.
Absolutely. I mean, 4 WAC athletes earned All-America honors in the opening days, and that was Grand Canyon's Israel Oloyede. Oloyede, that's right. He was in the men's hammer throw. He finished 4th place, and he PR'd in that one. UT Arlington's Randon Gray earned All-America second team for the pole vault. He cleared his personal best of 5.37 meters, 14th place. And Valentina Soka All-America's second team in the men's 10,000 meter run, finished 16th. And then UT Arlington's Lucas Van Claveren in the decathlon finished 5th as well.
Pretty
and
good.
The javelin throw with a top attempt of 60.67. And then, of course, how can you forget Greta Karen-Newskite?
Greta Karen-Newskite placing, she was sixth in the prelims, and then she went on to be an All-American in the steeplechase, finishing fourth place.
But back-to-back first-team All-American.
Back-to-back, and closing out her illustrious career. And just a reminder that the Joe Kearney Awards should be coming out in the next couple of weeks, which go to the most outstanding male and female athletes in the WAC this past year. So something to look forward to there. We also have, it is kind of award season, and we handed out the Commissioner's Cup, which is maybe the biggest award that goes out each year.
Yeah, this one takes into account the most points scored at the end of the academic year. They count their top 14 finishers out of a possible 20 WAC-sponsored sports. Their award in the order of finish in each sport. So we don't need to get too into the calculations, but Grand Canyon, no surprise, wins its 6th WAC Commissioner's Cup. And when you look at what they were able to do this year, I mean, they won 8 combined postseason championships, including women's soccer, volleyball, women's indoor track and field, men's basketball, women's tennis, men's golf, men's outdoor track and field, and softball.
Yeah, a lot to celebrate at Grand Canyon this year. California Baptist finishing in second with 129 points. Utah Valley was in third, followed by UT Arlington and Tarleton State. So congratulations to all our schools on what was just a great season.
Yeah, really cool just to have that trophy to cap off the year. We have it going a little, I guess, thermometer, you'd say, ticking in our office here in Arlington, Texas. That kind of showcases where we're at. So congratulations to Grand Canyon.
We had our president's meetings also in the past month since we were last on the WAC podcast. We had a chance to go over and talk with some of those folks over at the Live by Lowe's.
Live by Lowe's or Lowe's Hotel? Can you break down the difference for me to our viewers?
So there's Texas Live.
There's Texas Live.
There's Live by Lowe's, and then there's the Lowe's Hotel.
Yes.
All fantastic. If you ever go to Arlington, Texas,
all fantastic.
Recommend it. 10 out of 10. So that's why our presidents meet there, because they like to meet at cool places.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, you had a chance to do a story on that, and what kind of things did you hear from the presidents in that?
Yeah, it was really a combined agreement of positivity moving forward. I think right before the president's meeting, there were a lot of questions, rightfully so, circulating. A loss of membership, where's the WAC going? Things that really everyone is seeing across the collegiate landscape, across all conferences. We're not the only ones dealing with these sorts of issues, and more will arise as the landscape continues to change. But really a locking arms and solidifying, the goals of the WAC haven't changed in the last couple of years, despite, what's been going on in the collegiate landscape. And so just coming together and finding out ways to continue to grow and improve. And so that was really, was a positive. Membership was a part of it, but it was also, hey, how can we grow this? What about this? Different things like that. And so, walk away with a sense of a lot of presidents that are locked in and eager to continue to grow the WAC, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. And when you look at some of the positives of the WAC, and you see, the different media markets that we're in, Los Angeles with California Baptist, Dallas, Fort Worth with UTA, and Tarleton. Those are two of the top 5 media markets in the country. Utah, the state of Utah's Salt Lake City, market number 27, 3 teams in Utah. There's a lot going for the WAC in terms of 2 of the fastest growing areas in the country in Utah and Texas. And it's an exciting place to be around. So I think, Commissioner Thornton, the board of directors, they're all looking at, okay, what happens next? And it's all in a positive motion going forward.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, A lot of cool things that are on the books and potential projects that we're working towards for the next year. So a lot of excitement around the Western Athletic Conference.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Now the WAC Summer Series has also begun, and we're doing Southern Utah this week. We also already had Utah Valley and UTA, and those of you who have been following the league the last few years, we profile a school for a week during the summer, get some behind the scenes looks from Southern Utah at their men's basketball program this week. And we're going to have a Flex Friday or a Workout Wednesday, depending on how things go there. And I believe this is going to go out on Wednesday, this podcast, which is also Juneteenth, official national holiday.
Yes. So we are off that day, but that does not mean the content stops flowing.
Doesn't ever stop. And then we have the Student Athlete Advisory Committee coming in next week to the WAC offices here in Arlington. So it's a chance for us to work one-on-one with these student athletes. We're going to have 12, 14, 16 student athletes in here in this very room.
This very room.
You're going to be talking with them. I'm going to be talking with them in another room. We shoot some PSAs. You're going to shoot some fun videos for championships. But you also have a chance to go to the Boys and Girls Club. I know you went there yesterday to check that out as far as what they're going to be doing, helping out in the community while they're here.
Yeah, so they have a full slate of activities planned for them. They're here for about 3 days, and we'll get to have a fun media day where they'll be involved in kind of the PSAs like you were talking about, and Commissioner Thornton will get a chance to address them. They'll get to ask questions to him, and then, they'll get to do a service project at the Boys and Girls Club in Arlington. Went over there just a couple days ago to check out the facility. And so we're going to have some cool stations set up. We have some women's soccer players coming. So they're going to be outside kicking a ball around with some of the kids. We have volleyball players who are going to be in the gym working on volleyball skills with any of the kids who want to be a part of that. And then they're going to open up their art center. And so any of the other student athletes can help with some art projects. And then they have a pretty cool game room. They have 2 pool tables in there and lots of fun games that everyone else can help out with and just get to know the kids a little bit better. They really look up to these student athletes. So, we spoke with the man in charge over there, and he said it's really nice when kids come in who, are collegiate athletes. It gives the kids something tangible to see that if you put in the work, you can get there. And I think that's just kind of, what he wants for, those kids at the Boys and Girls Club to have some role models to look up to. And it'll be cool with 2 UTA students coming in, knowing that, this is the local branch as well. And so that's going to be pretty neat as well.
Nice. One last news item here. Abilene Christian has hired a new track and field coach. Miles Smith will guide the Wildcats. He was hired from Purdue, where he was an assistant coach. He will lead the track and field program after a national search, and he is very excited. He went to Southeast Missouri for his collegiate days, and he very well remembers competing against Abilene Christian.
So it'll be fun to see him take over the helm of the program. We'll be in Abilene for the women's soccer tournament, so maybe we'll get a chance to connect, possibly a story. Who knows? Well,
could be. Now, you had a chance to talk to Ken Beazer, the director of athletics at Utah Tech. That's coming up next. What's a good way to tease this story, as they say in the business?
Well, one of the big topics is they're finally finished with that transition period from D2 to D1, but you'd say finally finished. Well, Ken Beazer wouldn't say finally finished yet. So they've submitted a big proposal to the NCAA that they've been working on all summer. They still have more to do on it. The NCAA has to come back to them and approve it. So at this point, they can't tell recruits or anything yet that they're NCAA eligible because they have not come back and put that final stamp on it. So once that final stamp is on, I think everyone in the administrative offices at Utah Tech will be relieved. But that's their big project right now that they're working on. But they're there. Just got to come with that final stamp.
Fingers crossed. That's coming up next on the WAC Podcast.
University Credit Union has been serving students, employees, and alumni of the university community for more than 70 years. We've got plenty of moves that benefit our members, like the lowest loan rates in the nation guarantee, educational resources, personalized savings and investing advice, and 24/7 online and mobile banking. Plus, our virtual assistant, Royce, is always happy to deliver an assist. University Credit Union, the winning choice. Learn more and join today at ucu.org.
Welcome back to the WAC podcast. I'm Kendra Sheehan, now joined by special guest, Executive Director of Intercollegiate Athletics for Utah Tech, Ken Beazer. So great to have you on the podcast after we just wrapped up an incredible 23-24 school year. And what was that year like from your lens as the athletic director over at Utah Tech?
Yeah, well, first, thank you, Kendra, for inviting me to be your guest today. And yeah, looking back at this last year, you have to go with, we were getting all of our documentation, and I know it's not a big thing for others, but for us, it was huge. I mean, our final year of transition to full NCAA Division I status was a lot of work, working with a lot of committees on campus. And so when you look at the highlight and what this year means, it was getting everything together. I mean, it was a 1,400-page report we finally turned over to the NCAA. And when we sent that off, there was a big sigh of relief throughout the entire campus and the community. So, athletically speaking, we go back and look at it, and really pleased with what our female sports did. I think all of our female sports took a step forward. On the men's side, it seems as if we're still trying to adjust to the transition a little bit more. And I think the transfer portal has hit the men's side of our sports a little bit more than it's hit the women's side. But overall, pleased but not satisfied with where we've been at, and looking forward to to getting things ready for next year to compete.
You mentioned it. You guys have finally finished that 4-year transition period from Division II to Division I. And at the WAC, we've allowed transitioning schools to compete in the postseason. Of course, that hasn't transitioned over to the NCAA, but now you guys have completed that. And you mentioned the transfer portal and recruiting also. How does finally having that weight off of your shoulders and that end cap point at every season where you can't go any further no matter what happens, how does that impact, bringing recruits to Utah Tech, but just overall with the university?
Yeah, again, you have to live through it before you can fully appreciate the impact that it has. And again, the weight's not completely off our shoulders. The NCAA has sent us several emails establishing that it's not done until it's done. And we still got the vote of the Board of Governors that's coming up here probably the end of July, first part of August. We can't even tell our recruits yet that we're going to be eligible for postseason competition at the NCAA yet until that vote has taken place. But it is big for us. I mean, the transfer portal combined with not being eligible for postseason play at the NCAA has really been difficult. It's been challenging, as your student athletes obviously want to compete at the highest level. And when they see that at the end of the year that their season ends, I mean, you could win the conference tournament and still not go to the NCAA tournament. That is a huge psychological impact on the way they approach the season. But had the WAC not voted a couple of years ago to allow us to be eligible for postseason competition in the WAC tournament, it would have been much worse. So I'm very grateful that the WAC made that decision, because when that decision was made, truly it was like the ceiling had been lifted substantially for our student athletes, and that we saw a tangible, significant change in the way they approach the season.
And we saw throughout the last couple of years, so many of those transitioning schools had success in the postseason. And so it's just been incredible to be able to watch that happen. And, now that it's summertime, a lot of people, kick their feet up, relax by the pool. But I know that you have projects that you're working on to get ready for the next year. It really doesn't seem to stop. What are some of the things that you're working on this year to get ready for another incredible year at Utah Tech?
Well, again, we're going to go back to this transition. We're still doing the final. We've got all the documentation in, but just answering some questions that they may have at this point. And then, we pretty much put a bow on that and send it off. But we have a lot of projects going on. I go back and mention about we've got to figure out as an institution, as a department specifically, on how to be competitive and where to find our lane in this ever-changing landscape of the NCAA. And we're still trying to forge that on where we're going to fit in, and where we can maximize some of our advantages we have here and use them to our best advantages in recruiting and player development as well. Because the whole concept of player development has shifted now. It used to be you'd go find those student athletes that have, kind of a lower floor but higher ceiling, and you'd bring them in and develop them. Well, you bring them in for 1 year now and develop them, and they're gone somewhere else. So again, we've been meeting as a department, as head coaches. I've had head coaches meetings as we're just trying to find out, where we fit in and where we can take advantage of some things. And then facility wise, right now I just met last week with an architect. We're designing a new softball and soccer facility, standalone facilities for that. In fact, here in just 45 minutes, I'm on my way down to the city to meet with the city stakeholders and leaders down there as we're looking at some of these plans as well. And then, as you know, I mean, it seems to be the time when everybody meets. I mean, all the athletic director conventions, all the WAC meetings that are going on, everybody seems to just kind of throw those in June because, the seasons are over. And so it's pretty busy. I'll be seeing you again probably down in Arlington for the United Athletic Conference media days as well. So it's busy. There is some time to your weekends are a little bit more free, but it's still pretty busy.
Well, you mentioned all the meetings as well, and you took over for Ryan Ivey at Stephen F. Austin as the chairman for the athletic directors. And curious as to what your role with that is and what kind of projects that you take on as that director or chairman, rather.
I'm still learning that. What I've learned quickly, though, is there are a few more meetings, a few more Zoom calls in preparation for the upcoming meetings. I just represent a good group of athletic directors and kind of head up some conversation. And more than anything, I serve as a liaison between the athletic directors committee and the presidents, the board of directors for the WAC. And so that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed that I do with that. So just trying to kind of pick up where Ryan left off and carry the torch a little bit through again. I mean, everything that's going on with the NCAA is trickling down to conference level and trying to solidify conferences and keep this conference pretty stable and then able to improve.
I think this is a valid question a lot of people have because it is so crazy. I mean, college athletics now versus even a year ago or 5 years ago, it just has changed so much. And so in a position that you're in, I mean, how do you even begin to keep track of it all? And then depending on what happens, have to make those adjustments sometimes on the fly to just be able to continue doing what's best for your institution and your student athletes.
Right. Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head right there because you can get so caught up in the other things on the peripheral. I mean, but the focus is what you just said, the student athlete development. If you stay focused on that, what I call focus on the prize, it seems to be kind of the North Star, the guiding light that helps us through these tumultuous times. Because again, it is so easy to go off down a rabbit hole about things and how are we going to do this, how are we going to do this. And student athletes, like any of us, like athletic directors, like coaches, they're looking for opportunities. And where are their best opportunities going to be to not only compete, but to improve themselves in a lot of different areas. And I think that's what we as leaders need to do and look at it as is how can we ensure that the opportunities here are still viable enough to where student athletes want to stay here or want to come here from other institutions. And so, yeah, that's, I mean, you answered that question yourself, and that's where it needs to be. Because again, everything is changing. And if you don't evolve, you're going to die. I mean, the NCAA, as in even at this time last year, is different. And yeah, now you go and add another 3 years onto that, and it's not even recognizable. And I think it's going to continue on that trajectory for a while. We hear all about this house settlement and payments and NIL and all these things, and nobody has really talked in concrete tangibles yet. It's still, this is going to happen. We have concepts, and we're still waiting for the tangible. So you just have to be flexible and ready to go.
You got to be on your toes with whatever the NCAA or whatever happens at this point.
For sure.
And now some changes with our WAC basketball tournament format. The first round is going to be at a member institution at Utah Tech. So you guys will host the first round before we transition over to the Orleans. What does that mean for your institution to be able to be a part of the conference tournament and also bring in some people to St. George as well?
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to bringing people into St. George. We always, you can't say that St. George is a secret. I mean, for the past 2 years, it's been the fastest growing community in the nation. So it's not a secret anymore, but we love to bring people in and kind of show them what we have here and the growth and the opportunities that we have here as well. As far as hosting the tournament, there's a lot of pressure on our staff. And I did tell them this when that was finally voted and approved to start that first round here, because we want to provide a championship environment for everybody that comes in. And so that's really incumbent upon us to do so, because the WAC is going to be busy getting ready down at the Orleans, getting everything going on down there. The rest falls upon us. And we don't want one student athlete, one fan, one booster leaving here saying this was not a championship environment. So that's pressure on us. You'd think my staff would be thrilled about it. They're feeling the pressure from me, and so yeah, we're thrilled to help out with that. And as Commissioner Thornton can tell you, I didn't lobby for this. I wasn't saying, hey, pick us, pick us. They came to us and said, would you be willing to do this? And I said, yeah, we would be willing to do it. And now it's on us to make sure that we're not one of those 8 and 9 teams. So somebody's not complaining about us hosting a game when we're the 8 or 9 seed. That's up to us.
Yeah, you know what that sounds like? You're going to have a lot of meetings about meetings to plan for this.
we already are doing that. We're already now the good news about it is the institution as a whole has picked up on this, and they realize the importance of putting a good foot forward. So we may get some upgrades we wouldn't have gotten otherwise because we are hosting that first round.
Well, lastly, we're really excited to come out to St. George. I've already been there, so I tell all the staff members how beautiful it is. I had lunch. I don't remember the restaurant, but it overlooks.
Yeah, but Cliffside. Yeah.
Yes, so that was beautiful. So we're looking forward to going there. But lastly, to wrap it up, was there one moment, I like to ask this, a favorite moment from your perspective over this past year, whether it was, maybe a student athlete that you had talked to, made a big play in a big time game, or just an overall watching, someone have success that worked really hard through something, anything that you can pick out that really stands out to you from the past year?
Yeah, and the majority of it, just you said that, immediately came to mind. Our women's basketball team home victory over Oregon. It was one of those games where you really wondered if what you were watching was real. We hit 21 of 31 3-pointers, built a big lead. Oregon came all the way back, and then a freshman, one of our freshmen, who's a 5 for us, a post player for us, actually steps out and in a 90-second span of time hits 2 3-pointers, gets a putback and a block, and basically wins the game for us. And that was a big thrill for her and a big thing for the program. But overall, in general, the women's basketball team doing as well as they did with all the injuries. We had 5 season-ending injuries during the year, and for them to finish at least where they did, I think was truly remarkable.
Yeah, you mentioned those injuries. 2 that stand out to me the most are Macy and Maddie Warren, the sisters that both tore their ACL the previous year, rehab, tore it again. My heart just breaks for them. And finding out that I think the second twin had tore it right before the tournament. So that was tough, but they still battled. And we really appreciate you joining us on the podcast. Give a little insight on what's going on at Utah Tech and some projects you have moving forward.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you. I appreciate the work you do, Kendra.
Thank you. That was Executive Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, Ken Beazer. Appreciate you for listening to the WAC Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the WAC Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And check out our website at wacsports.com.